Hi there, folks. Welcome to the program. This, of course, is Stinchfield, the podcast. The markets, what a rebound we have seen. And if you've been following this version of the podcast sponsored by VRA Insider, you would have known that this would have happened when all hell's breaking loose. Who was on here but the Herriage family behind VRAinsider.com telling us be calm. And then as the market started to settle out, maybe not even rebound, what'd they tell us? Start to buy these little certain aspects of the market. And now, lo and behold, I got more money than I started with before this drop after the Iran war. This is what VRA Insider brings to the table. Now, is the bull market over? Or are we in really a generational bull market as the VRA claims? Well, I want to bring in Tyler Herriage to talk about this. Before I do, let me just remind you, we are sponsored by VRAinsider.com. It is a daily newsletter. It's not day trading. There are 10-bagger system in there, stocks and different things that you could get up to 1,000% on, okay? This is huge. Average returns, 37% over the last few years, 50% just 2 years ago. So I love what the VRA Insider has done to my investment game. You will too. You get a 2-week free trial. So you get access to everything, the back end, what their portfolio is, and you can see exactly what they're doing and what they're investing in. And it's fabulous. VRAinsider.com. With that, folks, let's get the show started.
Uncensored and unapologetic. This is Stinchfield. Here's your host, Grant Stinchfield.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Grant here. Tyler Herriage is also with us, one of the principals of VRAinsider.com. Tyler, welcome to the program.
Hi, Grant. Thank you for having me back on. It's great to be here with you as always, but especially when we have a week like this, where we've, really, as you mentioned earlier, made some big calls over the last few weeks, and now we're getting those payoffs of all-time highs. In some ways, it might have happened even faster than we expected, but this is exactly what we're looking for. So,
all right. So, tell me the truth. Do you get nervous in a situation where the market's down 10%? You've got all this money, and you guys, it's not like it's even worse for people that do the stuff that you do because you've got other people trusting. It's one thing to lose your own money. It's another thing to advise something, and then you got clients here that are relying on good information. How stressful is this, or were you guys confident all along that this thing was going to rally back like it did?
Oh, that's a great question, because you're so right, especially when you're dealing with individuals' wallets, dealing with money. It's such a sensitive topic, and so you want to do the best job at all times for it. So I'd love to say, and I will say we were confident throughout it all. And that's thanks to the VRA investing system, which I'll break down some of the reasons for that confidence today here. But when you have a system in place, it really helps to give you so much more confidence, even when it seems like everything is going against you. Because in the moment, it always hurts. It's always painful to see these market pullbacks, especially when you're seeing your portfolio decline. So from that point of view, it is certainly there's that extra stressor when you're dealing with other people's money. Again, you want to do the best job you possibly can. And sometimes that means telling them the hard truth that holding on and staying consistent through this process, and not only not selling your positions, but adding to them. Putting on new positions at those times is crucial to outperforming the market. So it seems so backwards in the moment. Everything just screams blood in the street, but that's exactly when you do want to be buying. Again, this conflict is such a great example because it is a kinetic conflict and war. No more visual that you can have of fear than World War III. What could possibly be worse? So it's a great example of just when you think things are just about at their worst, it's usually darkest just before the dawn. But now we've seen this a number of times in both of Trump's terms. Most recently, last year in tariff mania, where we saw a quick 4 to 6 week decline like we just got, in the massive V-shaped recovery on the other end. So when you have a historical precedent like that to go back to. The COVID 2020 scare, that was a much bigger pullback, but again, another V-shaped recovery. You could go back further, a long way here with Trump to 2018 and before. And again, time and time again, we've seen them be great buying opportunities.
All right, so you see these cycles. Now, you mentioned something earlier, that the system, and I constantly talk about the VRA system. And the reason why, in my opinion, people fail at trading, including myself at times, many people don't know, I've mentioned it before, but I traded gold and I traded crude oil on the commodities exchange for AIG back in the day when you used to yell and scream at each other and you'd be wearing the coats and literally throwing cards into a net. And that's how they would register what you bought and how many contracts. So emotions can take over like you wouldn't believe. And that's when people kill themselves in trading, is when they're trading off of emotion rather than a system. You guys really fall back on the system, don't you?
Yes, and it's absolutely crucial in a time like this. If you don't go into your picks and your trades with a game plan, when you do finally get punched in the face, as Mike Tyson would say, you're going to have a lot to figure out. So going into it with that game plan is crucial. And it is why we have the VRA investing system. A big part of that system is catching repeating patterns. So like I said, whether it's the 10% pullbacks under Trump or the 10% pullbacks we saw in a time period we've compared this mostly to. So we see this as early innings of this bull market that we've compared to the dot-com era. 1995 to 2000, the NASDAQ rallied 585%. And also during that massive move higher, there were no less than 5 pullbacks of 10% or more, including a technical bear market in there of 20% or more. But each one of those had if you go back and look at the chart, very similar V-shaped recoveries. Each one turned out to be a buying opportunity. So again, when you start to stack these up, it gives you that confidence to go into pullbacks like this with a game plan.
So you guys, and I don't expect you to give away the secret sauce, but I'll read the newsletter, and your dad will talk about the 12 indicators, I guess you'd call it, and 10 of 12 are bullish. So you fall back on this. You said you look at the chart. All this is technical, but there's fundamental as well. And for those that don't know, technical, just think charts and cycles and all those things. Fundamental would be earnings, the tax situation, the Iran war, all of that. You use fundamentals as well. You combine the two.
Exactly. And fundamentals actually make up 70% of the system. The technical side is crucial for the timing aspect of it. As the old saying goes, though, too, time in the market is usually better than timing the market. But along with that, and really one of the longer term lessons you can only learn from experience, is finding the right time to sell. It's not only getting the right entry points, but when is it time to finally take profits? And the technicals really help there. But the fundamentals are what really drives the long-term story. So what we're seeing right now is a structural bull market. Another reason we've stayed so bullish, because this sell-off has really been a headline driven sell-off, far more than the fundamental story here. So again, 70% of the VRA system is fundamental. And we can kind of break down that story here in a minute for the market, because as this pullback continued, we were getting Q4 earnings at the same time. So the fundamentals were actually improving the entire time the market was heading lower. And we look at that as, again, incredibly bullish. When we published the big bribe in 2022, under Biden, we caught a lot of flack for that. But we said the fundamentals of this market remain so strong that we had no choice but to be long this market. And here we are now, 4 years later. The NASDAQ has rallied over 140% from those bear market lows in 2022. Again, compare that to .com, though, where we rallied over 580%. So to put that in perspective, we've got a long way to go. We think that this bull market will likely run longer and exceed the returns of that previous .com melt up.
All right. It's pretty fascinating because now we're going into Q1 earnings. And I mean, it looks like they should be decent, but who the hell knows? How are you feeling as we move into Q1 earnings, which is what, next week we start to get them?
Yeah, we did start at the end of last week with the big banks. So none of the really big names out there. But even this week, we got some key players in the semiconductor space. We had ASML. They're one of the only companies, are the only company in the world that does the extreme ultraviolet lithography printing for chips. I know it's complicated, but it's the only company in the world. It's a huge bottleneck in the supply chain right now. Great earnings from them, great earnings from Taiwan Semiconductor as well. So promising start here for earnings season, and we do expect earnings to grow from here. Like I said, phenomenal Q4 earnings, especially from the Mag 7. The Mag 7 names right now, for how much they've lagged the market over the last few months, they really have been the lag 7.
Explain the Mag 7. What is the Magnificent 7? What is that?
Absolutely. So the 7 largest stocks in the world, essentially here in the US. So we've got Microsoft, Tesla, Nvidia, Meta, which Facebook, wow. Google or Alphabet, and what are Amazon. I'm sure the other one will come to me here in just a second, but
I won't hold you all to them. So it's amazing.
Oh, Netflix, I think, is the last one, who had earnings today. Pretty good. So,
Which one was that, Tyler?
I believe it was Netflix, and they had earnings today that were pretty good, if I remember correctly.
What you think about this? I don't know if it's a little scary to me. These are the biggest companies out there, and they're all virtually tech companies, including Tesla, which you think, okay, well, they make cars. Yeah, but they're making robots and they're making satellites, but it's all based around technology. These seem to be all tech companies. Should I be concerned about that the biggest companies are all tech companies?
It's a great question. And we've heard that so much over the last few years. I even heard it here today. Somebody talking about, it's only 7 stocks driving this market higher. Usually when you hear somebody talking about that, it means the Mag 7, they used to be called the FANG names, or they call them any number of names, depending on who's performing the best of the mega cap names. But as you said, they are mostly tech names. Now you can get into the transportation side for Tesla or for Amazon as well. But under the hood of this market, even before we saw this pullback, especially going into it, over the last year, we've seen a broadening effect taking place that not many people are talking about. But we're starting to see and continuing to see really the amount of stocks hitting all-time highs. That is expanding. The number of sectors hitting all-time highs is expanding. Names inside the industrial sector, the materials sector, are performing really well here. So we're seeing the manufacturing boom coming back to America under the surface right now. We don't see it quite as much in the headlines. All you hear about is the AI build out spend, but all of the benefits that will reverberate throughout the rest of the US economy, from employment, again, materials, industrials, we're reestablishing that base here in the US. Again, this is so early innings compared to where we're going to be. It's so hard not to be an optimist in this environment, especially under a Trump administration that's allowing us to get back to at least a semblance of free market capitalism. You hear it often where people are saying now, "Oh, it's so nice. You can just do things again." And it really is, that attitude is back for entrepreneurs, for public companies. And that excitement can't go understated.
I'm looking at these, we didn't mention Micron Technologies. It wasn't on there, but this is a stock. I've talked to your dad about this. My girlfriend trades this stock daily. It was on the 18th of March at $480. Not that long ago, I'm talking days ago, it went down to $320, and it is now back at $400. It is now back at $460. I mean, these are wild springs and drops and rebounds for a stock that goes from 480 to 320 back to close to 480 again within days. I mean, that's just, we're living in some wild times right now. And I don't know how you even predict that, other than that had to have been the fear that you were talking about where they can do that psyop of negativity, as the VRA talks about. And that'll come, but fundamentals ultimately equal out in the end. Most people say that stock will go to $550, Micron Technologies. And right now you have to say probably higher. It's back on track to go over $500.
Yes. I mean, it's not a stock that we specifically follow here, but I could say just as a sector as a whole, the semiconductors, there's so much demand for semiconductors and the different kinds that people forget about. Just each company has their own little niche in this space.
And
so there's a lot of opportunity.
You guys, I'm going to give away one and you can get mad at me and you can call me after and say, don't ever do that. But one of your 10 baggers is NVIDIA. And explain to me why you like that stock over Micron Technologies, over Broadcom, over some of these other Taiwan Semiconductor, over some of these other chip makers.
That's a great question there as well. And so let's see. I do want to start with the semis here just really quick, because as a whole, this is textbook bull market action that we're seeing here from the group. We want to see tech leading to the upside and semis leading tech. And it's exactly what we've gotten really from the tariff mania lows to today. We just got another all-time high from the semis here this week, and an all-time high breakout semis to the S&P 500. That is a very good, again, textbook bull market action, which is with as big of a run the S&P has had, the semis have been even better, roughly 25 or I think 27% now from their lows just 11 or 12 or so sessions ago for the semis. So it's an incredible move. And again, there is so much opportunity in this space. Micron's a great one, an American company, Boise, Idaho, in a time period where no innovation was coming out of Idaho. So it's a great story to love there. But for us, NVIDIA is the leadership name in this group. Jensen Huang and his leadership team as a whole is just fantastic. They're on the bleeding edge of general processing for AI. So their chips they have very broad use cases, where some other companies might have a little more niche aspect to it. So we look at this time period again, like that .com era. We've called it the innovation revolution meets roaring 2020s. And so we want to own the most innovative leaders. And that, to us in the chip space, is NVIDIA. Again, there will be a lot of winners to come from the group, though.
Before we came on, you said you were watching the market, as I would expect you would be doing. And you said you still have your eye on Bitcoin. Are you guys bullish on Bitcoin?
We do remain bullish on Bitcoin here. Kip and I have, this is one we talk about a lot, because once I kind of started to get into this space and began working with my dad this was a little over 10 years ago now. I've been working with him about 10 years though. We got into Bitcoin around 2014. At the time, it was around $600 a Bitcoin, and we first officially recommended it in the VRA portfolio at $2,000 a Bitcoin. So we've had fantastic gains from trading it over the years, and we think there remains so much potential to the upside for Bitcoin. And another textbook action here that we've called FIFO themes, first in, first out. Bitcoin peaked first, and we want to see it rally to the upside first. Now, it hasn't gotten back to those all-time highs, but we're well off the lows, and it really looks like a coiled spring ready to move higher from here. So there's a lot of opportunity, similar to the semis, in crypto, but Bitcoin is our favorite. We do have another recommendation here in the crypto space at the VRA that is a phenomenal story, kind of to the 10 baggers you mentioned earlier. That's another factor for the VRA investing system, is finding those opportunities with massive potential.
Do some of those, and I won't have you get, that'll be a good tease to get people to go, because literally for the 2-week trial that you get, that is revealed, that currency, that cryptocurrency. In the newsletter, I would urge people to go sign up, VRAinsider.com. You see it under Tyler's name there, VRAinsider.com. You get 2 free weeks, and all your picks are right there for people, so you can see how this newsletter works for 2 weeks. And look, you got nothing to lose. It's free for 2 weeks, so that's pretty cool. Bitcoin, if you can't figure out how to buy it, physical Bitcoin. You can invest in the ETF, correct?
Yes, there are some great ETF products out there now with low fee structures as well. Sometimes you can even get a better deal in some ways because of the lower fee structures. If you go to some of the, even Coinbase, the fees there are just a little bit higher. So ETFs are certainly not a bad option if you want exposure to the group. But do your research on them. Make sure you know what you're signing yourself up for there. But there are some phenomenal products out there for Bitcoin.
Last question for you. What do you expect now for the week ahead? We're going to get more earnings coming out. We had a great week this week. I mean, it's been nothing but fabulous. What do you expect?
Well, this is early innings again of this bull market. It's always great to be at those all-time high levels, and we do expect this to continue. We've looked at this as a bull market running through 2030, with the Dow Jones ultimately hitting 100,000, the Nasdaq hitting over 40,000. We're in the or 50,000, We're in the process of raising those price targets because of the Trump economic miracle. Namely, we think we're getting back to GDP growth that's going to surprise a lot of people, back to that fundamental story there. So going forward, we do expect phenomenal growth for the U.S., for U.S. stocks. And if you haven't had a chance to get in on this move yet, it's certainly not too late. There's a whole lot of upside left here. I know that it's tempting at all-time highs to say, I missed the move. Maybe next time, right? But there's no better time to get started than today. So we do have our 14-day free trial at VRA Insider. And as you said, Grant, we've full access. That's how confident we are in the VRA system, in our work, and in our track record. Full access, no questions asked, absolutely risk-free. See if it's right for you.
If people want, they can go back and look at every trade you've made in the history of you guys being in business, which is pretty amazing. I don't know how you get more transparent than that. As Tyler said, VRAinsider.com. That's VRAinsider.com. Tyler, it is always good to talk to you, make lots of money, and we appreciate you, buddy.
Thank you, Grant. Always great to talk with you as well, and I hope you have a fantastic weekend out there.
Absolutely. I appreciate it, buddy. All right, folks, let me just give you the address again. It's VRAinsider.com. Literally, when you say crush the market, I mean crush the market. These 10 baggers, potential for 1,000% gains, and they have a history of doing this and picking big-time winners. That's what I love about this. So go to VRAinsider.com. That's VRAinsider.com. Crush the market today. You will not be disappointed with these guys. I promise you. And get that free trial now. All right, I'm Grant Stinchfield. We'll see you on the Real America's Voice show tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Always good seeing you. Thanks for watching, everybody.